Are you ready? Because I have 5 ways for small stamps to make a big impact. Today I've got 2 really cute cards I'm going to be sharing with you and some fun ways to take those small stamps a little bit further. Starting with my first idea, which might not be what you think, it's to create a bold background. This is going to give me somewhere for my small stamped images or my small stamps. Anything I want to do, somewhere for them to live. Just because we're using small stamps does not mean that we have to create a clean and simple white space card. If you create or have somewhere for those small stamps to sit and shine, it's going to be a lot more fun. Now, you don't have to make your own background like I'm doing here today. I'm making a bright, bold, striped background today because I thought this style would really suit the stamp set that I'm using. So depending on what you're going to be using, which small stamps you're going to be using, that might dictate what kind of a background you want to create. Something like a background stamp would work really well and be a little bit quicker than what I'm doing. Or you could even use a cover die to create a really quick background, or deboss one or emboss one, or you could even just stick to that white space if that's what you like. So I'm using the Bloom and Evolve stamp set today, which is chock full of small stamps. It does have a coordinating die set, which is awesome because small images are harder to fussy cut. So I want to center my stamping on my cardstock. So I thought I'd add the Slim Grip mat to my stamp wheel. It's got repositionable adhesive on both sides, and it's actually made so that you can use the stamp wheel with rubber back stamps, which is awesome, but I want to use it for the A2 guide that's actually drawn onto the mat itself. So I'm going to leave the top release paper in place, but add the sticky grid mat on top. I can easily remove both the mat and the release paper if I want to use it with a rubber back stamp. So now I know my cardstock is centered. Another option is to use one of the center alignment guides to center an A2 card as well. Now I have a very small stamp here and it's 3 little hearts, and I'm looking at the grid lines on this radial grid flip plate, making sure that where I'm lining them up, they're not going to be touching when I stamp in radius, because this technique is a repeat pattern, which I love to do with small images. There are many different ways that you can do this, but this flip plate makes it really easy. I just keep an eye on where my little dot is on my plate and just keep stamping and turning 1 turn each time. The great thing is you can change up patterns, you can use different size stamps, and just turn the flip plate either 1 or 2 turns, depending. If it's a larger stamp, you might need to flip like 2 turns at a time. So this image was the perfect size for me just to turn 1 turn for each stamp. You could easily eyeball something like this, either draw a pencil line, a circle, and just stamp it. It doesn't need to be perfect. And my tip is there, if you do get to the end and you haven't measured it correctly, that's the piece where you're going to cover it up with your small image later on. Another one of my favorite ways to use repeat patterns with small stamps is to create my own backgrounds using them. And often I'll do this symmetrical, like in lines, either vertically, horizontally. I like to do like even in an ombre style of inking. That looks fabulous. If you're not confident to stamp in lines or don't have a positioning tool that can help you with that, then just do a random stamped background with these small images. It's a lot of fun. And you can amp it up by stamping on coloured cardstock or even ink blending a background first. So I've chosen some of the small images out of the set, stamped them out and done some really simple colouring. Like I said, it's much easier if there is a coordinating die set because small images can be a little bit finicky to fussy cut. But don't be deceived, small images can really pack a punch. You think about what you can do with them. I really like to group them together so you don't just have to use one of the images and make a really clean and simple card. You can stamp a bunch of these flowers and create patterns with them. Create a wreath, you can create a floral frame, you can also stamp multiple little images like this bee and make a repeat pattern on the front of a card, color them all different colors. The possibilities are endless. So many of the bigger stamp sets even come with small and some filler stamps in them, and they do coordinate really well with the set itself, but you can use a lot of them independently and create your own cards just with these little small stamps. So look at your stamp sets a little bit differently. Look for those small filler stamps, and maybe you can get some ideas to create something and stretch those sets. My next idea, it's a fun one, and it's to create a pun. Obviously, this little bee is the star of the show today, so I thought I'd make my sentiment be happy. And on both cards, I've done it a little bit differently. In my first card, I layered up the sentiment with the word bee, but in the second card, I used the image as part of the sentiment, and you'll see that in just a moment. Things went a little bit wrong when I stamped the word happy. I actually slipped with the stamp wheel, but that's okay, we're going to fix it. I came back and chose another happy out of the builder set. Lucky there's a heap to choose from. And I decided to white heat emboss it on some black cardstock. But I did come in and cover up my mis-stamped sentiment first, just because it is quite big and I didn't want it to show out the sides. It just will help hide it a little bit better. Which brings me to my next idea, which is to create a focal point. So I'm using the repeat background pattern that I die cut in a circle, but I'm also adding the one image, like the flower, and the other single image of the bee with the sentiment to the center of this focal point. So when I look at the card, I'm going to see the sentiment, and then my eyes are going to be drawn to the highlight, which are the flowers and the bee. I just love this color combination together. I think it's so much fun. All right, so we're on to my second card now, and I'm going to use a lot of the same strategies in this second card. But instead of creating a bold background of stripes, I'm actually creating a bold background using a layering stencil. It's kind of layering of a rainbow, and it's so pretty. And I think it looks great in the same colors. I did use my mini blending tool here too, because I find I get a better coverage of ink. I can get deeper, richer colors, but if you want something lighter, you could always use a lighter ink or even a bigger blending tool. So like I said, this set has a lot of little images in it, and I could have chosen any one of the grouped stamped images. There's a couple of these little filler stamps here, and they're different shapes. There's the hearts, a star, and then sort of an asterisk. So I chose to go with the asterisk, which is another 3 little images grouped together, and I've created a focal point here with the sentiment and the bee with a flower. So really similar concepts throughout both cards. But this time I'm using that very small stamp to add details to the card, because this is a very clean and simple card, this one, with a lot more white space. So adding small details like this stamp or gemstones to a card can really just finish it off and help balance a design. Plus, who doesn't like bling? So all together now, we created a bold background to give our small images somewhere to live. And we also used the small stamp to create a pattern in a circle. We added a pun to both of the cards. One of them I used the word, and the other one I used the actual image to be part of the sentiment. And on both cards, we created a focal point, somewhere that's going to draw the eye, and also added some details. Let me know in the comments below which one's your favorite today, and if you're going to try this technique. Till next time, bye.
Hello there! Did that video just spark your creativity? And do you want more project ideas and inspiration videos too? Well, if you do, please make sure that you subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you do click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye!